Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. You got Colton and Liam from Platform Ready Coaching here, and we're just going to go through some of the questions that we got on our Instagram page for our Q&A, and just kind of give a more long form response to them. So yeah, we got a lot of questions surrounding like progressing with bad form, overthinking your technique and stuff, so we're going to just touch on that first.
It's bad. So the thing about form, you don't have to get, like, obviously there's certain things when it comes to, like, training the meet standard, you have to meet a certain requirement. But as getting your form 100% dialed and perfect, it's not completely necessary. I personally have slight knee cave on my squats, and is it something I need to work on? Sure, but it's not something I need to, sure. But it's not something I have to completely eliminate to make progress. Like having slight amount of knee cave, especially at near maximal loads or plus 85, 90% is not something that concerns me.
Yeah, just kind of add to that, I think the training to comp standard thing is the biggest thing. Like obviously if your head is coming off the bench and you're competing in the IPF, like you got to fix that. If your butt is coming up off the bench, if you're not hitting depth in your squat, you're not looking at your deadlifts, like little things like that, you need...
Especially locking out the deadlifts.
Even on rep work. But yeah, so those things like you need to clean up, and if you just have like you're like going onto your toes a lot and your heels are coming off the floor like on a squat, like maybe that's something you need to look into. But if your form is like pretty solid, like you just need to find something that you can do consistently that doesn't hurt you, and then you can progress. Yeah, so we got another question talking about what keeps us going during tougher times during training. And I would say that you just got to be process oriented. So you just got to think of the long term. Like don't get caught up in the short term. Like you're going to have bad days, you're going to have bad weeks, you might even have a bad block. So just keep focusing. I just keep focusing on my recovery habits. So have I been sleeping well? Have I been keeping my stress down? Have I been getting my calories in, my carbs, my protein, all that kind of stuff? And if all that is there and I'm not overshooting all the time, then I just got to keep going. If you're not hitting any of those recovery habits or you're overshooting all the time, then that's something you're going to have to look into. But just looking at the overall big picture is kind of what keeps me going during tough times during training.
Yeah, just to touch on that, like obviously as coaches we're financially invested, so that keeps us coming into the gym and training every day. But obviously, it's a great point.
I like that.
But obviously we have our downs. Like while I was injured, like obviously going to the gym was just demoralizing every session when you go from squatting near 6 to squatting barely a plate every session. And I just find looking outwards, like if you train with a great group of guys or something, like just gassing up the boys and just going through the sport together, I find really helps as well. Like that's what really got me through all that.
Yeah, we also got a question asking if you're going to be weaker on certain days compared to other days. Short answer, yep. Long answer, yep. Just kind of like I talked about before, like with the recovery habits and not overshooting and stuff, that's really going to dictate a lot of that.
If you just dial in the recovery, it should minimize that. But even if everything is dialed, it's inevitable. You will feel weaker on some days than others. It's
just a part of the game. It's going to happen.
Yeah, if you dial in your recoveries, it will just reduce that greatly.
Yeah, so we also got a question kind of just touching on what we've learned from our coaches. So for myself, I've just been working with Michael Davis from Flex. And honestly, the biggest things that I've learned from him is just kind of centered around communication. So like when I'm going through training and stuff, he doesn't over criticize me or like over analyze what I'm doing and like force me to overthink. Like we keep it pretty simple. Obviously if there's like things going on that I need to address, he'll address it. But that's something as a coach that I did early in my career too much, that was like giving people too much feedback. So I think like the main thing I learned from Mikey was just really kind of pulling back on that and just hitting on the main points.
Yeah, definitely the similarity that every good coach has is just the communication skills. It's pretty rare to find a high quality coach that can't communicate with an athlete. It's probably the most important thing, especially if your coach is remote and you don't have access to them every day.
Cut.
that cooked.
Yep.
Yeah, next question.
Yeah, I guess that's... do you want to go first on what keeps you going through during tougher times during training, or do you want me to go first?
Oh, yeah. Why don't you start that off?
Sure.
I cheered here, bud.
Oh, the lady was crying. It's just so explicit.
Oh, that's good. That's nice.
That is so good, dude. Was that filming?